Hello guys, we are in Sønderborg at the castle. We are on a date. My parents are looking after Max.
And we cannot wait to explore this city because we've actually seen, you've been here before, that the town itself is supposed to be really beautiful. And we're starting off with the castle. And then we are strolling through the city, checking out the harbor, and ending it with a really good dinner, up north on the island. Let's get started. This is so cool. It's actually dated on this cannon where it fought. Are you debating which one would fit you better?
Yep.
I think that's your guy.
It looks heavy. And the soundtrack for any museum can't touch this. Can't touch this.
You gotta make museums fun, right? The castle started out like this in the 13th century. Then it got upgraded to this in the Middle Ages. This is what it looked like in the Renaissance. And finally the Baroque one.
These swords are from a long period of time. The oldest one, this bad boy down here, is from 1550 or something like that. And yesterday, when we visited Dybbøl, they taught us something about these swords. Some of the older ones are shaped like a triangle, because when you wounded somebody, a wound that has a triangular form would not heal, and it would cause an infection. So the soldier would die later if he didn't die from the wound instantly. Very, very vicious.
Around 1250, they built a fortified tower, and that's how this whole castle fortress started. And it says that up in some places, the towers had 4-meter thick walls. That is a lot and very, very rare. That's around 13 feet. That's almost the same as our entire camper. And that's just for one wall. Welcome to the dungeon. Oop. This is creepy. This is where they kept the prisoners.
No, thank you.
One of the things that Sønderborg Castle is famous for is that one of our kings, Christian II, was actually put in jail here. Christian II, he kind of annoyed and pissed off the nobles in Denmark, so they gathered around and they were really upset with him. And apparently he went into exile or something to the Netherlands, and he was promised that he could come back by his uncle who had taken over the throne. But the uncle had made a pledge with the nobles, so he did not stick to his promise to his nephew, and he threw him into jail here, where he was in jail for 17 years and he never had a trial. And funny fact is that when he was in the Netherlands, he actually met Luther and he became a Lutheran. And apparently that was a whole big deal too, but it's kind of fun learning about these things on site where you are. The Danish kings are always named Christian or Frederick. It's always one of the two, and usually it's just after a Frederick comes a Christian. The next one up is Frederick, and I don't know what number he's gonna be. 10, 11 probably.
Denmark is actually the oldest monarchy in the world, and supposedly has the oldest royal family too. That's pretty cool. I think we are almost the only one in this castle right now. I think we met like one guy, maybe two guys. So if you can hit this castle on a Monday, that'll be a pretty good idea. This is one of the first machine guns. It's built by Germans around 1900. It could shoot 400 rounds per minute, and it weighs as much as 53 kilos. We'll try and put the number in pounds.
When this part of Denmark became German, the Danes in this part had to fight for Germany during the First World War. There were a lot of men who had to go into battle fighting for Germany who actually felt like they were Danes. So that must have been very tricky and extremely uncomfortable.
This is a crazy story. This woman was married to this young soldier and he died in the war, so she decided to wear black for the rest of her life. And she wanted to get buried, and in the coffin she wanted to wear her wedding dress, a black dress as well. So he would recognize her because she thought he would be young because he died young and she would be old in heaven. It's pretty crazy, but they forgot about it and found out later, so she did not get buried in the black dress. So here it is.
This is so funny. I've always wondered in castles what they did with these huge rooms. And here you can actually see they have a huge room and then they sectioned it out. They built kind of like a wood skeleton within it. And so over there is a bed that's built in. And you walk this way, there's another bed, a little desk. So this is all built within the big one. That's funny. Welcome to the banquet hall. Apparently they still have concerts and stuff here. Look how big this is. Can you imagine the parties going on here? We found the chapel.
This is the chapel of the church.
You want to renew our vows?
No, not in here.
To those of you who don't know, we are actually celebrating our 12th year wedding anniversary right about the time when this video comes out. So we could renew our vows in there.
What made the biggest impression on me is that some of these walls are actually 3 meters thick. It's 9 feet, more than 9 feet actually. That's a crazy wall.
I think seeing the model of how the actual building had developed for every 200-300 years, that was it was just very tangible. I love stuff like that. Now let's head out and see if we can explore Sønderborg, the city, some more.
Yeah.
Okay, so in southern Jutland, they had this tradition that kind of occurred when the Germans took over this area, that they wanted to gather because they were Danes. But the Germans didn't want this, so they tried to cut out their license for serving alcohol because they thought that might help, but it didn't. So the Sønderjyske, they just started baking cakes instead, and they would gather and everyone brought different kinds of cakes. And this is now called the Sønderjyske kaffebord. So it's a tradition that goes back to when this was part of Germany. I think the rule is that you have to have 7 soft cakes, like sponge cakes and layered cakes, and then 7 hard cakes that are like cookies and like just small little ones. But I found a place where they serve, where you can get like a sample of all the soft cakes. So I ordered a plate of that and we're gonna share it and just relax for a bit. And I cannot wait. If you have a sweet tooth like me, try this out. Okay, so this is a sample plate, and it's all kinds of different things that I cannot pronounce. I don't think there's an English word for it, but this is a bun, and you put a lot of, like a thick layer of butter on it. This is a vaniljekrans, nødetvebakke, kringle, honningkage med aprikos. So this is like a honey cake with apricot filling. This is kind of like a waffle. Cracker thingy. I think it's called altid, and this down here is called ingenting, which is nothing, and it tastes like nothing. That's what he said. And this is the dark rugbrødstorte. Rugbrødtorte. I think that's how they say it, but this is rye bread mixed in there. So that is very Danish. I can't wait to taste all of this. Awesomeness. This place shows off a really fun tradition down here in Sønderjylland, where they have something called ringridning. I don't know what it translates to, but you have guys on horses and they each have a spear. And between these two there's a rope, and then in the middle there's a small little metal ring hanging down. So they have to be charging off on horsebacks with their spears and then hitting the spear through that small little metal circle thingy. That is funny. I have no idea where the tradition comes from, but it's in Denmark and it's only in Sønderjylland. Maybe it's a German thing, I don't know. But this is apparently where they do it. And every year, I think it's every year in July, they have a big Ringrider festival. So if you're up for some history and some fun and good times, come check that out. We are driving because we're on way to have a really good dinner. And there's this castle in this area, Storgaard. And they have a really beautiful sculpture garden. It's supposed to be around right here, so we just stopped in Storgaard to see if we can find some sculptures. That's a beautiful little palace.
Yeah, this dude really liked this Augustina, I think.
Yeah. Let's head up back and get some dinner, finally. This is a detour.
But it's a pretty one.
But we need to get moving.
We just talked to one of the sweet waiters at this place, and she told us that this place is only 8 years old. So it's just totally built like it was like 100 years old, with lots of little details and old stained glasses and old paintings and stuff. They fooled me.
Like your starter?
It is really good. It's the fish of the day with some tomatoes and different stuff. It tastes really good.